Hello, everyone. It's Lauren, and I am here with Josiah. Josiah has graduated from one of our programs at Build Carolina. He took our full-time web development course, and I'm so excited to have you because you have a really cool story. The determination, the resiliency, the curiosity, and just like the joy is all there. And so I'm excited for you to share your story with everyone, but I will let you tell everyone who you are, where you're from, how did you find Build Carolina?
Hello, my name is Josiah. I'm originally from Florence, South Carolina. It's a small little town in South Carolina. I guess it's like a city, it's a metropolitan. Anyway, it's not important. Um, yeah, so I did not come from a background in tech at all. I started off kind of not knowing what I wanted to do with my life after graduating high school. So I went into college with aspirations of being a doctor of osteopathic medicine. Um, and I was on academic probation after the first semester because it was just way too much going on. My brain was not suited for the chemistry side of things, doing a bunch of math. So instead, I went to something much easier, and I went and got my English degree in technical communication because that was like the side of English that we were told is like the best for business. Another name for it is like business writing. Um, I graduated December 2019 and straight into a pandemic. So I was kind of just like stuck with where I was working at before. I had like some experience in doing like media for performances and stage production. I did like some light engineering and stuff like that, doing light shows and stuff. So I was kind of doing that, but it wasn't um it wasn't that fun for me. It was kind of doing the same thing over and over again. Really stressful, really super duper tight, unrealistic deadlines where I couldn't work the way that I needed to work. So I then went over and started working for a nonprofit in Colombia, about like an hour away from my hometown, hour and a half away from my hometown. And that was a different level of stress. I initially started out and I was an administrative assistant and HR generalist because they kind of just needed someone to do it, and I had
Mhm.
a background in communication, and so we can use this guy. But it was very because it was a nonprofit. Let me not say because it was a nonprofit. Nonprofits can be great, but the one I was at was it was the organization wasn't always there. During the time I got my diagnosis for autism and ADHD, and a part of my job was, for example, sitting down during board meetings, and they're super long and they're really, really boring. And I have to like sit there, record, and take minutes for it. And I wasn't given like a proper format about how to take those minutes, for example. And the thought of having to go back and re-listen to something enough times for me to get the correct notes, just I would sit for weeks and not touch them, and then do them really bad, and then my boss would have to go through and change them up herself. And
Mm.
I'm like, I'm not suited. I'm not doing the job that I should be doing. Um, so I quit my job for the first time because I wanted to. I thought maybe I can. I started looking a bit into like data analytics a little bit, and I went online. I went to Coursera, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to try doing this. So I quit my job. I started door dashing full time. It's still during peak pandemic, so
Mhm.
I'm like, I can just do DoorDash for now. And between I DoorDash was another level of stress. Again, it was very inconsistent. Some days were really good, other days were awful. Some people had dogs that would chase me. I'm like this. I just told a friend a couple of days ago that like I should not be feeling this stressed in order to go for anytime I get an opportunity to make money. I should not be that
Mhm.
stressed. I'm going
Mhm.
to make money. I should be
Mm.
excited, like, yeah, I get a new order. I was not feeling like that anymore. And then during the middle of it, I got sick for like a week. And if you're doing DoorDash or any type of like contract work where you're depending on how much you're getting paid like for a day. Taking a week off, it
Wow.
can it can completely destroy your finances. So I went back to the nonprofit that I was working at, but this time as more of like a caseworker. Um, but that was another type of stress that I just didn't like. It's a lot of it is just so much stress around unknown social interaction. So you're kind of dealing with the public. Sometimes you have to deliver bad news to people, and it can be
Oh,
devastating. Um, and having that type of responsibility, I remember like looking at my phone and dreading any time my phone would ring, just because I knew I would not know what could be coming in, and there wasn't a lot of growth opportunity in the company either. I would have been stuck there for who knows how long without anything being changed, anything different. Um, so I again started looking for different options, and that's whenever I had been considering development for a while now. Like even back whenever I was in college, I was there was one particular class that was affecting me really, really bad. And I was like, I can't, if I fail this, I'm not sure if I can go through another semester retrying this class again. And I remember telling like my advisor at the time that like, okay, well, so if I don't make it this time, I'm going to go to this coding boot camp over here and they have a job guarantee. So I'll just go and do that. Who cares if everybody says that the job that they give me can be really terrible and bad for my health and everything? At least there will be an opportunity there or something. Um, so yeah, while I was still at my previous job, I tried to automate some of my processes. So I went through like a little the Coursera data and analytics course did like a little bit of Python. So I was writing out Python scripts at my job to try to help automate those processes. Um, and like I got in a little bit of trouble for it just because like my boss didn't understand what I was doing. She thought that I was like changing up software and like downloading stuff and like uploading like like uh private information up to a cloud somewhere, and yeah. And anyway, so I really enjoyed doing that. I'm like, okay, I can see myself, if I can make my life and the life of wherever I work at more efficient, I
mm.
want to be able to do that. And development seems to be a way that I can do that. And the fact that I kind of had it shot down while I was there, kind of like, I'm like, okay, I can't do that here. Let me try to actually do something different. So I started looking for boot camps. And I remember before I even started out, I wrote down a list of things I wanted. I wanted it to be in person. I wanted it to be as local as possible because I didn't want to have to go off and live far off somewhere else.
Hmm.
I wanted an active alumni network so I can sit and talk to someone even before I go into it to see what it's like while it's there and see how successful they are. Really, just active community in general. Because I was going online, so many horror stories of people going to boot camps and they're just kind of just like left to the wind after the fact, and they're just kind of floating, and it gives boot camps a really really bad rep. And there's I still see a lot of that today.
Hmm.
And so I stumbled upon Carolina Code School in Greenville and developed Carolina. And I reached out to one of the alums, and I spoke with him, and he had a very similar background. It was scary how similar our background was. Living in the same area, coming from the same place, like having like the same type of thoughts, like no prior experience whatsoever before doing the career switch, and he had nothing but good things to say. He was very open. He responded really quickly. I was
'Cause
surprised how like how fast.
you found
Yeah.
him on your
Hmm.
own. Am I right? Like you just kind
Yeah.
of did some searching and you found him online
Hmm.
and reached out cold to
Yeah.
a graduate. That just
Yes.
like a very cool part of the story is like you didn't apply and then we hooked you up with somebody. This is
Right.
completely
No. Yeah.
unknown
No. I
to our
went.
team.
Yeah, because I knew I tried to avoid I try to avoid bias as much online. Like you can go and look at reviews online for different things, but you never really know where those reviews are coming from, if people were incentivized to give those reviews in the first place. So so yeah, I was just curious. I just went on LinkedIn and I'm like, oh, this person graduated. Let me just shoot them a message real quick. And hear about what the school is like, what the boot camp experience was like, how successful they were in it. Yeah, and he was really cool. He gave me like a lot of good information. I was still shopping around, so I still hadn't solidified my answer yet, but it definitely raised Carolina Code School up
Mm.
on like my list of possibilities. And yeah, so then I went ahead and applied for it. Got in touch with Lauren eventually, and was able like to ask even more questions and kind of get like a better understanding about like what the school was like. I liked how consistent people graduated and got jobs after. That was also a
Mhm.
very important thing for me. Um, I like to hear that it was more projects based, and that I would be getting like actual experience, not just being told a lecture. The way that my brain works, I need to physically do something to work it out. In school, I was terrible if if someone just threw an equation on the board and just, hey, this is how to do this thing.
Mm.
This is how to calculate. This is the calculation. Like that calculation means nothing to me. Tell me why it's like that. So I needed like the very hands on approach. And Carolina Code School provided that. So yeah, so I applied. There was like a little bit of intro work. I initially wanted to go in there was like a new cohort starting like soon after I put in like my
Yeah.
initial like application. I'm like, I'm just quitting my job now because I'm tired of it. So I'm ready to go. Um, but you kind of talked me down, and my girlfriend like talked me down. She's like, you know, get your finances in order. Try to see how much money you can save to make sure that this is something that you can realistically do. So yeah, I I think I was looking at one in like in September or August, but there was one coming up in January. So I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, let me wait till after Christmas. That way I can save up some money, try to get some finances in order, make sure that like I have a safety net and everything. Make sure that my credit looks good. Let me go ahead and apply for this credit card because I'm probably going to need it while I'm doing this thing. And so yeah, for so yeah, the code school was in Greenville. So this is now in January. Initially, I thought I would be able to drive back and forth every day, and I'm like, if I need to, I'll just sleep at the school. It's fine. It'll be okay. And after week one, I said, I can't
Yeah.
do
I
this
remember
anymore.
that really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and it already kind of put me far behind. Oh yeah, even like before I started, I had like COVID 2 weeks before the code school
That's
started.
right.
So I started late already. So I
That's
was like a
right.
day or two behind everybody else.
Yes. So this is where I'm
Yeah.
like, insert here that Josiah had, I remember this really well, and just like kind of in summation of what's happened so far and what's about to happen in the story,
Hmm.
is that we aren't in the short game. Like we could do that. We can be like, yep, come on in. And like, but really we work with each individual, each person who wants to get
Yeah.
into this. It's like, what does your lifestyle look like? What does your finances look like? What does your support system look like? And how can we match all those things? And yes, you can commute. And we went through all of the possibilities, I think, and like talked about all the things so you could make the best decision for you. And what's
Yeah.
cool about you is that yes, unfortunately, you got COVID right before we started, but you came in. I mean, I remember that. That was just devastating. We were all just so,
Yeah.
like, you had worked so hard to get to that point. And then it was just a few days. Like, you luckily were ready to be around people and you were
Yeah.
negative, testing negative by the time we got started. You weren't you weren't spreading it. So
Right.
you started that, yeah, a weekend or so. You're a few days behind, which in that course, that's a lot because
It's a
it's
lot.
just a lot
It's a
covered in a
lot.
short amount of
Yeah.
time. And
Yeah.
then what I think is important is not necessarily about us, but more so about you as a person, is that you are so determined. You've already people who've been listening to your story so far have heard you care so much about what you want to do with your time, and you want it You were just determined to find the right fit. You knew you could contribute. You knew you wanted to make an impact. You wanted to make life better and easier and smoother for people and yourself. Like you just knew that there was a way to do this, and you just had to figure you didn't know what it was, but you just had to keep seeking it and keep figuring out. So for you so far, and it continues, that your story is very much of I will not give up. I'm going to open this next door and I'm going to look through it and I'm going to figure out how this, like, we're going to just keep figuring it out as we go. And just for the sake of time, because I want to get to the job search and then where you are now,
Yeah,
you can give
yeah,
us a
yeah,
quick
yeah,
update. But honestly, through the cohort, you then um, made it happen where you like had a hybrid living situation where you went and you
yeah,
stayed in a long-term Airbnb in Greenville and you figured that out, and you and your partner and your support system supported you to do that. You busted but to get through this course and learn all the skills you could. You really wanted to know it. And this, just like me bragging on you, but it really is true. Like you really wanted to know it. Your cohort was so gelled and so supportive of
yeah,
one another. It was probably one of the most diverse cohorts in every every shape, every kind of way possible. And you're still very connected and supportive of one another to this day. So we could go into like the whole 12 weeks because there's so much to cover there, but will
yeah,
you take us through you've graduated, which was a huge push. You created a project
yes,
and you made it through, and um, you were then now looking for a job, and
yeah,
your whole cohort, because we offer this career services is at the end. It's a four more weeks of being together and searching for jobs, which your story, spoiler alert, I'm going to just share, like, you have a job. It's exciting.
yes, I did.
You have the same job, which is also really
Yeah,
exciting, just over a year, which you'll share where you are. But the part of that story that makes it so important to me is that you're in person, you're with these people, you go into job searching mode, and you would think it would be extremely competitive and guarded and
yeah.
very like, I have to find a job and I need to do it for me. But your story is a little bit different. So in our last few minutes, will you go into how you found your job now, which is really
Yeah,
cool. And then yeah, what are you doing? And then like tell us like what have you been working on for the
yeah.
last year?
So, yeah, so the job search was obviously very stressful, because you're hearing from a lot of other developers, that how terrible the market is right now and how, a lot of people are being let go right now. I think like Facebook had just laid off a bunch of people at the time. And so there's a lot of floating developers everywhere. Um, so during my job hunt, I like blocked out my time the best, most ADHD way. I just said, 2 hours dedicated to this, 2 hours dedicated to this, 2 hours dedicated to that. So I was developing as much as I could, pushing to GitHub as much as I could, going on LinkedIn and finding people, trying to reach out to them and talk to them, as well as doing a lot of interview prep. So I was going online, looking up different coding interviews and stuff like that, interview questions that I may be given. Um, and also just speaking to my cohort, like we try to help each other out. Like, hey, there's a job posting here, throwing it up there. And one of my cohort members, her name was Drew. She went above and beyond. She was getting interview after interview after interview. I don't know what she was doing. She was like had to have been applying to like hundreds of places every two
Yes.
days or so. I have no idea, but she was killing it. And she had like a really cool project. I love her. So proud of her.
Yes.
But she had applied to where I'm at now. I work at Samsung now, and we're a Samsung subsidiary. And she had applied there before I did. But the town that the subsidiary is at is in Newberry, and it's like 30 minutes or so from like where I live at. But for Greenville, it's like a 2 hour drive.
Mhm.
Um, and so she had and so she interviewed there, but she found a different opportunity that was closer to her. So she was able to tell them that, hey, I found this opportunity somewhere else, but there's someone that lives in the area that came from the same cohort that I did, um, and I can get him to apply and just look for his application. And really, if it weren't for her, I wouldn't be where I'm at now. And like now that I'm there, my team lead has like told me that he said, yeah, like if we didn't interview her, we had
Mm,
hundreds of other applicants and so many other interviews that we did that we probably wouldn't have even seen yours.
yeah.
But fortunately they did. I went, I did the interview. Fortunately, I was able to through her, I was able like to figure out like the kind of tech stack that they use there, like the kind of questions that like were being asked. So I was able like so I went online and did like a crash course of the stack that was used there, and kind of looked up different questions and stuff that I may be asked, and just like stay on my toes. And during my interview, it was digital. I had like index cards like set up and like sticky notes about different things that I like maybe asked while I was there. Um, so yeah, I went through. I wasn't given like a technical interview. He just kind of like he like asked me a question related to arrays. And fortunately, they weren't so strict on we need to have someone with a traditional background. We need to have
Yeah.
someone that graduated from this. They're like, no, this is open. We just want to make sure that we interview somebody and hire someone that understands what they're doing, shows propensity to learn,
Mm,
and will be a good fit for us and our team. And fortunately, I checked off those boxes, and it was really funny. Like after coming in, I tried to be as like I like trying to build a culture of vulnerability anywhere I go. So even with my team lead, I would ask him questions like directly about the interview process. Like, what did you think about me whenever I first came in? And he said he was shocked by how much I was able to answer as someone who had only been coding for 6 months at the like 5 or 6 months
yeah.
at the time, and he was shocked to see I was able to answer the question better than a lot of graduates did who had traditional software backgrounds. And Columbia is like there's a major college right there, like so they had like a lot of like I was up against a lot of graduates from USC. Um, to the point like where even my team lead used to work at USC like as a developer at
Yeah.
USC. So um and again like I try to continuously ask questions because imposter syndrome is like something that's huge for developers, especially from us that come from like non-traditional backgrounds. Like I feel like I know that there's so much that like I don't know yet.
Mm,
And so I can get like a lot of I can develop like a lot of fear and like self-doubt over that. So I'll bring it up to like my team lead like every now and again and just get like do checks about like, hey, how am I doing, am I meeting expectations? Fortunately now I find myself asking questions, those types of questions, less and less, just because I've worked and have done so much, like so many things, and like leading like my own projects and stuff now, that I feel like a lot more confident now. But early on, he would have to tell me that hey, whenever I was starting off for these X amount of months, I wasn't able to do what you can do now.
mm,
I wouldn't have been able like to code as well as you are now. So as long as you continue to sit and learn and like ask as many questions as you do, and not being afraid to like push and struggle through things in order to understand and learn more, you're going to be good. Like you're all set. Um, so yeah, as far as like working at Samsung, it's honestly really perfect. Like I wanted to join a nonprofit just because I wanted to struggle and be in the weeds as much as I could. I wanted to get as much of the I wanted to touch as much code as I could, and even if it's a little messy, at least I would have like a better understanding about how like a better like holistic understanding of what it's like to be a full stack developer. Like I wanted the true full stack. And since we're a subsidiary, um, a lot of what we deal with is like intranet stuff. So stuff within like the company, visualizing data and building out dashboards, things like that. Um, and currently we're just like a team of two. So we started off with three of us. Now there's only two of us. So we have my team lead, and then there's me. And I would say for someone that's only been developing for a little, I mean, probably like a year and a half now. I feel like I've touched more code than probably most entry level people have, just because like 3 months in, I was given like my first major project. They were like, "Hey, this project proposal came in. Uh, could you start working on it?" And that was like, it was there was so much like extra stuff that I had never completely unaware with. Like
Mm,
we different types of like databases, different formats of code. Anyways, I can't get into too many details,
yeah.
and I'm trying not to. But I struggled so much with that, and I remember like a couple of months in, like almost crying just because I was so stressed out and like I need to get this done. This is like I can't get fired. I don't want them to think that like I'm a liability now because I'm a boot camp graduate. I can't do this. Yeah, I struggled a bit and I pushed through that. But fortunately, like the team around me is so like supportive, and they really understand that no, like you're a junior developer. We expect you
mm,
to be a junior developer. Don't feel like that you have to do and know everything, because even though my team lead has been developing for 10 years now, 10 plus years now, and there's a lot that he doesn't know, and
yeah.
there's a lot of things that I'll see him like going online to look up, and he's constantly being brought in with like new information and having like to go and sit and struggle and like work his way through it.
Yeah.
And that's, for me it becomes more like encouraging because I'm like, okay, so this truly is something that I'm always going to be learning. Like there's still like a baseline of skills that of course, a lot of concepts and stuff that he's really like familiar with, so he can be introduced to something new and then immediately like, oh, okay, this connects to this, to here and here. um and I'm still learning those things, but at least I know now that like it's expected that I'm not going to know everything, that I'm going to make mistakes and I'm going to struggle through things, but that's kind of the nature of being a developer. And I feel like my background, like the boot camp really taught me that being um not the word, well, being offered something new, being presented something new that's completely entirely new concept, um learning as much about it as you can and then implementing it immediately, like
Mm,
that's all I'm doing every single day, all day. And it's a lot of fun, now like I just finished one major project 2 weeks ago, and I just started a new one this week. And just like the speed at which that like I'm setting things up, like I'm seeing exponential growth, and it's really fun to see. And it's also really cool, whenever I finish something and then the person that asked for the project like thanks me for it, or is like, yeah, like we're more efficient in this area over here, like there's like a few kinks to work out here, but this is like a scalable thing that you can keep adding on to over time. um so I never have to worry about getting bored. Again, I'm ADHD, so like one of the biggest fears of having ADHD is knowing that like if you start something, you're inevitably going to get bored with it and not want to
mm,
do it anymore, because your dopamine, like you're no longer getting like good hits of chemicals in the brain after a while. Um, but being a developer, it's all about growth and change, and it's like a good type of stress. Like before, I talked about how like my previous job was stressful because there were a lot of unknowns. This is like a different type of different type of unknown. It's like an unknown that I can sit and I can work through and I can struggle with like by myself. And it's a beautiful struggle. I say struggle as if it's like a bad thing, but no, it's like a really wonderful type of struggle. It's like solving a really hard puzzle, and working your way through it, and building something from that. And being able to like go to the people that you made that for and hear feedback from how much I'm able to improve their team overall, and like helping them be more efficient and free up hands and free up minds in general to
Yeah.
try to help us be like the best company that we can be. Like having that is so rewarding, and it feels almost like it's cheating, like I'm doing this thing that like I'm enjoying every single day, like 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 I'm genuinely happy with where I'm at now, and like the pace at which I can work at is kind of like my own pace now. Like coming into work excited like months into a job. I've never experienced that, like not in school, not in
Mm,
college, not in previous jobs, but coming in genuinely happy and not dreading coming into work the next day. Not to mention having like being on like a team of like other nerds that are that like the other people's brains are similar to mine. Like I can speak and they actually understand like what
heck
I'm
yeah.
going through mentally. Like love that. It's great. It's
It's
fantastic.
And just like, I
Yeah.
have just full, I mean, we really could talk forever. You and I, we know this because we spent 16
Yeah.
weeks together. And I just have full body chills. Like, it brings almost like these joyful tears to my eyes of just pride in the journey that you've had, because truly getting to watch you and then getting to see you a year and a half later ish, not quite, but and just that
Mhm.
you light up and that you have such a confidence in yourself to be able to tell your story. Because I'm sure we'll do another catch up soon with you to see where you are from here. But
Mhm.
I expect that you will be in the same joy of learning that you're in now. And I am so glad that your life quality of life is improved, and that you look
Yeah.
forward to the work that you do, because we do spend a lot of time at work. And I personally got to watch this, and so it just it brings in immense joy to me and our team to see you thrive. And I look forward to many more updates from you as you continue on and make really cool things. But for now, we'll sign off.
Yeah.
And if you have, Josiah's out there, and if you're ever curious, you can
Yes.
connect with him on LinkedIn, or if you're in our network, we can get you in touch. Because yes, Josiah is also very passionate about making sure people are in a space that's vulnerable and transparent, and they can figure out their next steps, just like one of our graduates did for him. So thank you
Absolutely.
so much for your time and your
Yeah.
story.
Thank you.
It means a lot. All right,
Yeah.
until next time.